All right, here we go. So this workshop, it's like a mini workshop, is all about, oh, like, sorry, my background's like fading in and out. This is all about how to write articles. Now, specifically, we're going to be talking about the titles of the articles, the topics of the articles, because that is where I'm seeing a lot of people getting hung up on like what to write. So let's start with what to write. All right. So, hello. I'm Izzy Nally. For those of you all that don't know me, I am all about showing you how to get visible, and that is through strategies of PR, marketing, media that will allow you to show up as the expert, to be seen, to position yourself for the sale. And a lot of times it is different than what people think it is. That there is more strategy, there's more relationship building to it. So often, and trust me, I get it, that we're like, can you just tell me the post I need to make that's going to make me money? Can you just tell me the one thing that I need to do in order to make some sales? And there is a buildup that allows that to happen. If you've seen anyone that have made these comments, they're like, the one post that got me 20K, these kind of things. There was a buildup that was happening to get them to that point. So they're using that as a marketing strategy to grab your attention. However, if you don't actually take your training and their training and you're just hearing the marketing portion, it's leading you to believe that you just need to have that secret sauce recipe for the one post or the one article. And in fact, today, what I would really love at the end of this is for you to have essentially 8 titles and topics that you could write on in order to position yourself and have the content, which we're going to talk more and more like why you need that. But to position yourself so that you can really truly have the content that will take you to that next level. Conversation that has came up a lot this week is, and I do these consults, and by any means, if anyone needs one, please let me know. But consults of going like, I need to go to the next level. I don't know what to post on social media. I'm not really sure what to do next in my business. No one really seems to know what I do or what I'm offering. And my recommendation is, one, you should be positioning your business so that it can scale. And in that would mean that you would need to hire someone eventually to do your social media, to take charge of your marketing. But you cannot just hand it off if you haven't created some baseline. So I'm gonna do a little circle because nothing is linear. So I like the thing keeps like blinding out my teeth. It's funny. So you need to create a baseline amount of content. One, so that if you do want to hire someone in the future to take on your social media, they need to have content to pull from because they cannot read your mind. Okay. They will not be able to read your mind. And in fact, if you're like, well, I just need you to go find some content on this topic and make some social media posts about it, they're not the expert. They're not the business owner. They won't be able to really truly create content that's in alignment with you and what you're creating. So you as the business owner, you really should be able to develop, and I'm going to just say 8 core articles. And just because you write them does not mean that you can't tweak them and perfect them. Okay. So we're going to take the perfection off the table, but you really should have your 8 core articles that are going to be search engine friendly. So people are typing in the search engine to find this article, and it's going to pull up and it's going to introduce them to you. It is also an article that if you were to put on, let's say, Pinterest or something like that, people would find it, they would click on it. This is a key point. They would want to click on it and they would want to read it. And as they start reading it, they're going to continue to read it. So these are all the factors that I want to talk about with you today. All right. So it's not just creating an article to have an article so that you can boost your SEO or your search engine optimization. It is writing an article that people actually want to read. They actually find beneficial, so beneficial, in fact, that then they then take the step to do the call to action, which we're also going to mention today, which means to book a call or attend your webinar or whatever that next step might be. Does this make sense? If this is making sense, let's see a thumbs up. Oh my gosh, here's the the AI. It's doing fireworks. And if this is making steps, like thumbs up or saying yes in the comments, it makes sense. If you have written articles before, but it didn't really get you anywhere, then I would like for you to put an A in the chat. If you've written articles before, but it didn't really do anything for you, put an A in the chat. If you have not written any articles for your business, whether you know you need to or not, hopefully I'll convince you that you need to today, then put an X in the chat. You've not written any articles, put an X in the chat. So today the really point is like, why should you write an article? Which we're getting to, we're getting around right now. But then what could those topics be on the 8 articles? So I think I was talking to Catherine a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about articles that she could write. And she does very like statement jewelry. And an article that would help people is how your jewelry can be a conversation starter. Who is this going to help? People who are struggling to network, people who they see the value of a conversation starter. And so in that article, you would discuss how we go to networking events and it's sometimes awkward to just kind of interject yourself into a group or to just be standing there. And if you are standing there and someone comes up and they're like, "Oh, I love your necklace," you can then start a conversation from that because it at least got a semi conversation started, and then how to continue that conversation once you get a compliment. Do you see the value that would be in that article? It is going way beyond her just selling a piece of statement jewelry or saying, "Hey, can I come to a workshop with you to sell jewelry or to help you make jewelry or repurpose jewelry?" It is giving them so much more benefits, and it's showing that she also has way more knowledge about business and all of that than just doing jewelry. So taking in all of these multifaceted layers and tunnels and funnels of information and knowledge that you have and putting it together. Within our WOA network, so many of you all are multi-passionate, that you have one foot in this realm, a hand, a head. You've got yourself in all these different places and spaces and hobbies and businesses and passions that you can pull them all together and show an interrelatedness that adds value to the reader, meaning they start reading and they continue reading. They see the value of getting on a phone call with you or getting onto a webinar with you because they see that your sole purpose is not just to sell them, that your purpose is to enhance their life or business or whatever area it might be. Because people don't want to be sold anymore. Sometimes, right? Like sometimes when it's just a product. But really, even like if you're on a TikTok video and you're showing like, oh, how you're using it, how it's enhancing your life, that's still the purpose of the product. It's to solve a problem. Everything is to solve a problem. And so even if you are, let's say, a travel agent or have a travel business, just writing an article that really could be a social media post. So if you're like, I want to write an article on how my travel agency is free, like our services are free. That is worthy of a social media post. But can you incorporate that into a blog post and article, such as how to travel on a budget, how to, because a lot of people associate that. They're going to type that in. I typed in earlier, just playing with the idea, how to travel cheap was what pulled up. And so as you go to Google, type in something or start to type in something that you think your core audience might be searching for. Like, why do they need what you have? How are you going to enhance their life? What is the perceived problem versus the real problem? And how can you put that in a way that is beyond just a sales pitch? An article or a blog is not a sales pitch. And in fact, most people are not responding very well to a sales pitch in a post. If it is, it needs to be further down in the post. So when we're writing these articles, we need to display our knowledge. We need to display how it fits into their life, right? Like, imagine if you're watching, let's say, a Netflix show and someone has, I don't know, let's just say I'm going to The Walking Dead. Let's say someone has this amazing sword and you're like, I need that sword because she's showing you all the ways this sword is going to be so useful. This is a very hypothetical. Could you write an article on the value of this sword and put it into the story? Yes. And then position at the bottom, you can get your sword today. Be prepared. And then have the stuff for them to click and purchase the sword. Be creative. Allow yourself to be creative. Whatever it is that you were trying to sell essentially should be this undertone of your article and not a sales pitch for it. I was helping someone rewrite an article, and it was talking about how pH leveled water, right? And an example that came up was, and some of these things are just based on other things that we've been taught. So in no way am I shaming or making you feel bad or anything like that. Like sometimes we've just been taught this, and this was things that used to work, but they don't work anymore. To create a space where we're never saying things like, I know you suffer with this, or I know you're going to be doing this. We want to take out the I know statement, and instead we would put facts into it. The facts are that during the holidays, nationally, drinking rates go up. And for those who are, AI, For those who are drinking more, note how that's going to affect your pH level. That would be a seasonally targeted approach. I would utilize some statistics. I would show where I got that data from. And then I would also talk about if it's going to alter your pH level. These are some of the things that can happen. Again, more research I can pull in. Then I can talk about some experiences of where that's actually true. I can lead further into, and I personally know this, that like as your pH levels become more balanced, typically we don't need, if we have prescribed medication, that prescribed medication level tends to go down. Like doctors actually tend to readjust the levels because our body absorbs the medication at a different rate and better. And the same thing with nutrition. You will absorb nutrition better. So that could become a whole nother article. Now, here's the beauty. When you start writing articles that should all be in alignment, they can then hyperlink over to the other articles. So let's say in this example, if I then wrote a whole nother article about absorption, better absorption with better pH levels, and maybe the title is your medication doesn't need to be as strong. I could go back and hyperlink it to that first article so that if they wanted to click on that and read more, they'd go to my second article and read more of that. Now, so those can layer and expand on each other. I love doing this. I find this so true. Like as I'm writing one article, I'm like, "Oh, this paragraph, I could write a whole nother article on this paragraph alone." Great, there's another idea. I'm going to write that idea down. As I write that one, I'm make sure I come back and hyperlink it. It might be one sentence, but it's like, I can't go into all of that in this one article, or it'll take it into a whole nother direction. And I want to stay focused. Now, a lot of times people ask me, how long should the article be? Well, the average attention span of the human nowadays, especially Americans, is 6 seconds or less because we have conditioned ourselves to scroll. And this is why our headlines, our titles need to be so clear, because if they cannot clearly depict what's in it for me based off of that title or headline, they are not going to stop their scroll and click on it. If they do not stop the scroll to click on it, then they won't be able to read that first little bit that's telling them why they need to read. Now, we're not going to state why you need to read this article, but it should be a summary, the highlights of what they're going to learn by reading this, which will then go, oh, okay, I do need to read this. This seems well. It goes into one part. Now, if you can section it out, and I made a video earlier about this, if you can section this out where it continues to flow, it can be longer. But don't overwhelm them. Don't write a book as your article, all right? People's attention spans are just too low, and they typically just will not continue reading. This is where it's great to have them click to go read more to the next article, or to section it out for further reading. You can invite them to save it. You can invite them to share it on their social media post. So knowing what the purpose of your article is too, if you want people to share your article to further the visibility of it, it needs to be shareable content. So if, let's say, you want this to be something that people are sharing on LinkedIn, why would people share? Well, they would share it, for example, if, let's say, they're a change manager, and oh gosh, I share research stuff all the time from Harvard's business research um, uh, webpage where they create articles, and I will share it with my comments. of like, this is why I think this is important. This was a great article that explained this, this, and this. And then I shared that article. Again, if you put the supporting research in your article of anything, go back, you can write it, and then you can come back and add the research back in. Okay, so write it out. And when you're writing a really great article, I typically, unless you have the whole day, typically tell people like you're not going to write it and publish it in one day. And in fact, I don't recommend that. I recommend to get your idea, have your draft of like your key points that you want to hit, have your outline, and then go in and plug in some example stories, go in and get to the core root of what you're trying to say. Make sure you've got your call to action and your contact information. And then wait a day and come back and reread it because there's going to be things that you're like, oh, yeah, I should have asked this. And then ask yourself, would someone in this industry share this? Where would they share it to? Because if someone in your industry would share it, that's beautiful. That's gold. It's gold. And just because it's someone in your industry, they will share it, even if it has your information down at the bottom, if it is not a full out sales pitch. Okay, so don't allow it to be a full out sales pitch. Let it be something that shows your talent and people want to share your talent, your ability to explain your knowledge. So to get better at this, like, Izzy, I don't know. I still don't even know really clarity on my topics. Start going live. Start writing more social media posts. Start explaining what you do, who you help, why it helps them, how it's going to make a bigger impact in their life. Explain these things. And as you explain these things and you do more and more of this, you're going to essentially take bits and pieces of those social media posts and combine them and put them into an article. And then think to yourself too, where could this article also be a guest blog post for someone else? Because guess what? Other blogs need guest bloggers. It enhances people coming to their blog. Plus, right? Like if you were a guest blogger on a blog, wouldn't you want to celebrate it and say, guess what? I just got to be a guest blogger on this. Here's the link, and have them go read it. So it's bringing people to their blog for them. And that also allows you to clearly go to these people and say, hey, I just wrote an article. Here's the topic and just that first little paragraph. I'm wondering if you need any guest bloggers. I'd be happy to send that to you if you would be willing to use it or if you would like to use it. You can directly go to these places. Now you're getting PR and media exposure and exposure to other people's audiences. As you have these articles that are value-based, if you would like to guest blog for someone, or not guest blog, sorry, be a guest podcaster for someone, you could send them a couple of your sample articles that showcase your knowledge. But more importantly, as we come back to this, hopefully you're seeing kind of this overall view that, again, I'm only asking you to create 8 articles. And as you write them, you can continue to go back and refine them, perfect them. It's a beautiful thing of the digital world, right? You're not sending it off to a magazine. You're just putting it on your blog. Maybe you want to write it as a LinkedIn article. Get them down, perfect them, send them, ask your friends to read them and tell you what you think. Put it out there. You can even list these as like lead magnets. Who would like to know how to write articles people actually want to read? Give your knowledge. Now, you are not going to, so anybody that has this fear of like, well, if I tell them how to do it in the blog post, then why are they going to want to hire and work with me? Because this should be only be a snippet, right? It's just a snippet. And there is no way that you're going to be able to share all of your knowledge in one article, right? Like there's no way that I can give you all the knowledge in 30 minutes. There's no way that even if I taught for 2 hours, there's no way that it's going to be the same as if you worked with me one-on-one to piece this together, to lay out your 8 articles strategically, right? Like there's no way that that would be exactly the same. Can you see that? So allow any fears that are coming up to be released. To say, I need to showcase. Think of your 8 articles as like your portfolio to show off your knowledge. And allow yourself to be seen. Allow yourself to get visible. As we just start with like, let me just list out a couple titles. And if you're not sure if you'd like more of that hand-holding, we do have on the woenetwork.com. I have another one of these workshops that I will be hosting. This will be an actual like workshop. This is more of a webinar that will be hosted in February, where we will be on Zoom together. I'll be going through the presentation, which you will then get the presentation. We will then have, so that'll be an hour presentation, and then we will have an hour of just Q&A troubleshooting. Okay, so this is where like we really get to go back and forth, test out ideas. It's really great when lots of people are there because they're like, yes, that sounds like a great idea. Or what if? And we get all of each other's feedback. Now, if you are in the WOE network, or if you're in one of my other groups too, it's only $25. You'll get the recording and everything. If you were outside of that, I'm so sorry. It's $65, which is still great value. I could easily do this training for $200 per person easily. So this is crucial. It will increase your search engine optimization. When people go to search for a topic, we want you to be one of the people that is educating them. So let's look at the buyer cycle. In general, people are going to go do some research, right? They're going to go do some research on whatever it is that they're buying or getting curious about. And if you are that person that is showing up in their research or providing research for them, they are going to utilize what you've told them to make an educated guess on why they need what they think they need. Now, as they do that, it's normally through that research that leads them to want to start following someone on social media, which then allows you to continue putting information in front of them. You can pull pieces out of your articles to write your blog posts. Write pieces out of your articles to write social media posts. There we go. So your social media posts can be inspired from these blog or articles that reinforce what they have read, or maybe it introduces them to another article that they haven't read. They could find you on Pinterest, and they could start following you to continue to learn, to continue to know, like, and trust you. And typically it is through a webinar or a phone call, which is what I say, those call to actions are really great, that they will then lead to the purchase. Or the subscription or whatever it is that you might be selling. So I hope this is helpful. If you need any more information, or if you would like to book a call, if you would like the link to attend the next workshop, to attend the actual workshop, put L in the comments for link, and we'll make sure that we get you that link, or you can just go over to thewoenetwork.com. If you would like a call, if you're like, hey, I want to discuss this further, I want to see what it'd be like to work with you to get all these ironed out, put a C in the chat, a C, if you'd like to jump on a call. There's no strings attached. So Thank you. Thank you for attending. Again, I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, put an H in the chat. If it was helpful, put an H in the chat. I always love just knowing that this is useful. If you do have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Feel free to put any questions in the chat, and then tag me. I would say send me a DM, but there is the probability, just keep in mind that there might be a delay. So sometimes I just get flooded with messages in my Facebook inbox, and sometimes they get buried. So no, like nothing personal if there's a delay. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you soon. This was our Teaching Tuesday for the WOA Network, and also Get Visible for those who are in my other programs as well. And I will see you later.